Hello, boys and girls. Hi, my name's Oshi7. I have 104 subscribers. Go me, I'm awesome. It's 100 more than I thought I would get. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who did subscribe after my last video, which was the Viper and the Havoc comparison, and how the Havoc is a big flying POS. This is a video. I'm going to give you some hints and tips on how to fly the helicopter. Mostly the Viper, because of course fuck the Havoc. And hopefully you'll learn a few things and become better pilots yourselves. I'm not saying I'm a great pilot, but I do know a little bit because I spend quite a lot of time in the air, and I try to learn everything I can about the game before I start playing, because I'm a dirty tryhard. Now, when you are flying, especially flying low, which is what you want to do most of the time, because flying high is a big mistake. It makes you too visible, too desirable for engineers and their annoying stingers. So keep low. Flying on the bridges, it's a novelty. Don't do it. It's pointless. You don't gain any practical benefit from it. But if you do want to fly, get some speed and keep the pitch forward indicator between halfway between 5 and 10, and anything below. Don't pitch backwards. Just don't. So try to keep it level, or 5, 6, 7 at the max. Don't fly into flagpoles. That's bad. Flagpoles are not your friends. They're in fact the enemy. And this is the one. Ignore the imitations, because this is the attack helicopter in the game Battlefield 3. This is the United States AH-1Z Viper attack helicopter, and it is a beast. Left unchecked, this will rain death and destruction in ways that will make you moist. But seriously, this is the best attack helicopter. The Russians have the Mi-28 Havoc, but its mobility is less than ideal, as you probably know and saw in my last video. But it can also be used pretty effectively, especially in the hands of a good pilot. But in most cases, you do want to get in this one. The armaments on both helicopters are the same, so the mobility is nothing but a positive. The Havoc gets a little bit more durability, but not enough to make it worth it. Now, on the screen, you will notice there is a lot of information, but most of this you can ignore. There is the speed in the top left, the 130, 140, 50 Gs. That is basically how fast you're moving, but you don't really need to know how fast you're moving, because you can see, you're looking, you know. In the square, I believe that is your throttle. I'm not sure, but to be honest, you can ignore it, because that is something else you can get a feel for. The information that you do need to know is in the center is your pitch indicator. When you're flying low, keep it anywhere between 10 and 15. That will keep you from crashing on the ground, but also keep you moving at optimal speeds. There is the roll indicator at the top. Not at the top, but second from top. That is always going to point towards the sky. So when you are rolling, you know which way is up. But again, you can ignore that for the most part. Most of the time, I don't even see it. What I don't see a lot of people using is the degree indicator. As you can see above, there is 90 and 135 degrees. Your gunner also gets the exact same thing on his screen. So when you are trying to coordinate, you can say at 90 degrees, at 135 degrees, and you can both look in the same direction and get the same idea of what you're attacking. On the right hand side, you can see the 125B. That is actually your altitude. Again, you don't need to know that. I think it's your altitude above sea level, and a lot of the times, I don't know what it is, but you can ignore it. It's not important. You know how high you are. If you don't, look around. On the right, you'll see another gauge. This is basically the amount of stress that you're going to have on the propeller blades. As long as this doesn't go red, you're fine. When it does go red, it means there's not enough power going into the propellers to keep you airborne, and you will slowly lose altitude. In the third-person view, don't go into third-person view. Basically, it's useless. You don't get any helicopter HUD whatsoever. There's no practical in tanks and jets. Yes, there is a practical use to go in a third-person view, but the extra field of view isn't really worth it in an attack helicopter. Yes, you can see more of the map, but for the most part, you're going to be going after armor. I'm going to go after other attack helicopters. There's no real need to see that much. Hopefully you have a decent team that are marking anyway. The only other bit of information on the screen is the predictive cursor, which doesn't work. There you go. For the most part, ignore it. If you're using guided rockets, fire one or two rockets first, and then get an idea of where they're going, and then adjust for where they are, for where you want them to. I can't talk. For where you want them to go. The most important information at the bottom. You can see it says rocket there. When it flashes red, that means the weapon is unavailable. This is mostly always going to be because you're reloading. I don't think there's anything in the game that will prevent you from using a weapon or make it unavailable other than reloading. And at the bottom, you have a square with a little square inside it. This is your gunner's viewpoint. This is where he's looking. He can actually see quite a lot more than most people think a gunner can see. Most people think the gunner is looking straight down. No, he's looking straight ahead, forward, just like you are. So bear that in mind when you are flying. You don't have to hover directly over someone for your gunner to kill them. They can see what you can see for the most part. And yeah, there isn't really much else you need to know on the HUD. The only thing you're ever really going to be paying a lot of attention to is where your gunner is looking and what your pitch is. But even then, most of the time, you're going to eventually learn that intuitively and just be able to know, basically. There are some techniques you can use in the game. This is called circle strafing. You're basically using two of the free motions in this game. Actually, all three, really. You're using the roll to move yourself sideways in a strafing fashion, like you would as a soldier, pressing A and D. You're also using the yaw, which spins you in a fixed point. In this case, it's actually spinning you so you're facing the same direction as the flag the entire time. And you're using the pitch to make sure that you're not getting too close or too far away from the flag, to give your gunner a consistent point of view and speed so that he can predict what you're going to do and hopefully gets lots of kills. So yeah, the predictive cursor for where your rockets are going to go, it doesn't make any sense. The only bit of advice I can give you is don't use your rockets when you are spinning, turning, or doing anything. You basically want to be traveling in a straight line, which is predictable, yes, but you don't do it that often, so it's okay. And using your volley then, in coordination with your gunner, you should be able to take out any vehicles or anything like that in one strafe, at least disable them. If you're going to be using rockets whilst you're spinning or turning or pitching or doing anything, you're basically going to waste most of them, and whilst it might make a nice little pretty light show, it's not going to help you in any sort of practical way. And this is an example of where your gunner can see. He actually has a lot more vision than you do. He can see a lot more, and he can twist and move to see more of the battlefield than you can. Most of the time you're going to be looking straight ahead. So yeah, he can see quite far up. If you look, it's way above the tree line. I've actually figured this out, that if I use the roll indicator as a guide, that is basically where his the limit of his vision is. He can see up to the roll indicator, which is fairly high. I mean, that is about 4/5 of the screen, roughly. So bear that in mind. It does help you when you are coordinating an attack. You can also see quite a wide range sideways. So if he is calling people out or gunning people to a side, make sure you accommodate him. Yaw, turn, spin, to make sure that he is getting the shots he needs to, and taking out tanks or infantry that could end up taking you down in the helicopter. So yeah, that's he can see quite far. Bear that in mind. You haven't got to accommodate him too much. He can see a lot more than you can. Probably the easiest, simplest, and most straightforward tip I can give you is using the F button to switch between weapons. A lot of the time, people press 1 and 2 to switch weapons. The amount of times I've done this, and through some sort of strange spaz, I've hit E, fallen out of the helicopter, and either my gunner has crashed or flown off without me, or had to come around and pick me up. So yeah, it is actually a lot more effective pressing F than 1 and 2 as well, because that means you haven't got to take your hand off the throttle, and you can still have a lot of control. I mean, you don't have as far to move your hand, and it's basically just a lot better. It's pretty much the best thing I can tell you to do, and it's probably the easiest thing to train yourself to do. Now, in this game, there are 3 types of movement in a helicopter. There's pitch, roll, and yaw. Pitch is obviously if you're looking up and down, that changes how fast you're moving forward or backwards. Roll is obviously roll, and yaw is the propeller on the back, which spins you on a fixed point. The best way to turn in the game if you are in trouble is by using all 3. Roll, pitch, and use the yaw. Don't hit the ground like that. But that is a fantastic way of doing a sharp turn, a very sharp turn, and getting away from trouble, such as jets who are chasing you from behind. Now, yes, I did skim the ground there, but that's not a big deal. As you can see, the helicopters do have feet on them. Feet? I can't remember what they're called. Those things on the ground, the thing that balances the body of the helicopter. They can take a lot of punishment. You can land pretty hard on them, and they won't damage a helicopter at all. The only time your helicopter will take damage if anything hits the body. The skids aren't considered part of the body of the helicopter, so you can bash them around as much as you want. This is actually a good way of landing if you're in trouble. As you can see, just make sure you're level. Use the null pitch indicator and throttle down. Press that S key or whatever it is on consoles, and just hit the ground as hard as you can. You are on the skids, so it is going to make sure you don't take any damage. It's going to take all the impact, and you're going to be fine. So let's try and disable... sorry, I just hit the microphone there. Let's try and disable this first. Because if you are in trouble, if you are hit by a stinger, or you have a run-in with a jet and you are hurt, you want to make sure that you can land safely and repair. And I've seen a lot of people crash as they try to land. So yeah, here we are. We're on fire. I haven't got extinguishers. I need to land. So yeah, let's find a nice bit of flat ground. Make sure we're level, and hold the S button. Crash. And even though we are disabled, we hit the ground. We don't lose any extra integrity of the vehicle, and we don't blow up. And we repair, and we can take back off. And not blowing up is the key to not blowing up. And this actually works when you're moving fast as well. Depending on the material hit, there is a difference between concrete, rock, and grass. Hitting soil and grass is actually a bit softer, a bit more lenient than hitting asphalt or rock, as you can see here. It will make a big crash. It will scare you. You think you're going to be in trouble, but don't worry. The skids are pretty good. The skids are well designed. They're well made. The Havoc is actually... This is the one thing the Havoc does better than the Viper. It can actually land a lot better. It's a bit more durable, and it can take the punishment a bit more. So if you do have momentum, you will lean forward, because the inertia will want to keep on pushing you forward. But that's fine. As long as your body doesn't touch the ground, you'll be okay. You won't crash and die and burn and cry. Let's kill the jet. Yes. Now, what you don't want to do is get fancy. You can build up some speed, and what some people do is they lean back, and you hit the tail. As you can see, that's quite a lot of damage. If you are disabled, that would result in a death. The tail is a lot bigger, a lot longer than anyone gives it credit for, me included, as I've said. And yeah, just make sure you are completely horizontal, completely flat, and you'll be fine. You will push forward a bit. You can push forward, it's fine. The last thing you want to do is hit the back of the helicopter, because that will damage you a lot more than hitting the front, hitting in the nose. So yeah, perfectly fine. No need to repair. Just jump back in. And away we go. Now this is, I don't see a lot of people doing this. This is actually one of the tips that I have to give that isn't, I haven't seen it shown or done anywhere else. And it's amazing. It's awesome for landing. I've only learned it recently myself, the last day or two. And it's been invaluable. When you are disabled, when you are hurt, or if something's chasing you and you need to get out of the way, like a jet, just leveling off, throttling down all the way, hitting the ground roughly, you'll be fine. You won't take any damage. Obviously, if there's an incline, you wanna adjust for that. You are a pilot. Use your head. There we go. That was actually quite a smooth landing. So yeah, if it is an incline, you wanna pitch forward. You wanna be parallel to the ground basically. But you wanna find a nice open surface most of the time. Now it doesn't always work. You have to be aware of your surroundings. Like if I land here, I'm gonna hit the gates. Look. Yep, see? You can actually see where I was hit. The helicopter does have wings. It's a lot bigger than you think it is when you're in the pilot seat. So avoid these sort of things, these sort of roads that have railings or trees that you might hit, or anything basically. You want nice open land, and there is plenty of that available in Battlefield. So here's a nice little spot. We're going to get some speed, level off, slowly level off, and land. Land like a jet. Actually, smoother than a jet. That was awesome. Even on soil, which is a lot more forgiving than rock or asphalt or anything like that, you do not want to lean backwards at all. Now see that? I leaned backwards just a tiny bit. Lost quite a lot of integrity in the vehicle then. Now if you're disabled, that's actually going to cost you. It's either going to cost you the vehicle or your life or anything basically. So here's another example. I was going fast. Pitch back ever so slightly to slow yourself down if you are going too fast. But you always want to land completely parallel to the ground. You can deaccelerate by pitching up, looking at the sky, but you want to make sure that you are, when you're hitting the ground, you're flat. Your skids want to be as flat as possible, and that is the ideal way to land. And that will save your life quite a lot. So let's build up a lot of momentum. Slow down and land. As I said, you will lean forward, not a big deal. I want to give you quite a few examples of this. Let me jump into Havoc and give another example. Even if you do land violently like that, it's fine. The skids can take it. Now, I'll show you the Havoc. The Havoc does this a lot better, actually. Which makes me sick to say. I hate the Havoc, blah. So, yeah, let's do the exact same thing. Let's get up high. Build some momentum. Get the inertia behind us. Level off. And hit the ground. The Havoc looks like it hits the ground more violently, but it doesn't. It's fine. It's just another adventure in the Havoc. Fun times. Now, yes, if you are disabled, it is harder to keep yourself balanced. It's harder to keep yourself steady, but it's not impossible. Not by a long shot. I've done it a few times already. And you can do it, and it will save you and your vehicle quite a lot. And it will get you back in the air quicker, and that's going to help your team a lot more. At the end of the day, helping your team is the most important thing in this game, helping them cap flags or plant those MCOMs. As a helicopter pilot, you aren't always going to be playing the objective, but you can play your meta objective, which is helping your teammates play their objective. Yeah, it's one of those things. Yes, you aren't directly helping to cap flags or anything like that, but you are helping your team in so many different ways to play that objective to cap flags by keeping enemy armor away, spotting everything you can, and just making sure you're giving them cover, taking out infantry whenever you can, just making their lives easier. The best piece of advice I can give you, the ultimate piece of advice for anything Battlefield 3 related, is get on TeamSpeak, Mumble, or Ventrilo, and get some friends and talk to them. If you don't have friends who play this game on a PC, join a server, find out if they have a public TeamSpeak server or anything, or any voice comm server, and join it. Don't be afraid. People are playing the game just like you. We're all human. So if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you really, really liked it, please subscribe. That would be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. And, yeah, I hate the Havoc. I do not want to spend another second inside it. So thanks, guys, and catch you later.